2023 has been a gamer's dream come true, but let's get our cringe muscles ready and remember how far we've come in the year that eventually brought us Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, and Starfield. Here are the worst games 2023 has seen so far. Daedalic Entertainment's The Lord of the Rings Gollum is the very definition of a game that was not worth the wait. Originally announced in 2019 for a 2021 release, Gollum finally stumbled onto store shelves in May 2023. When fans finally got a chance to play their precious game, they discovered a final product that barely resembled the sprawling, epic RPG they had been promised. The graphics have been majorly downgraded when compared to the early promo screenshots, while the majority of the game's complex decision-based mechanics have been boiled down to inexplicable one-word choices like spider or argue. Worst of all, the game was prone to frequent crashes, making it impossible for some to play and for some critics to even finish reviewing it. It's hard to imagine another game getting more abysmal reviews on Metacritic this year, and it's easy to see why. This is a game so bad that the developer issued an apology online, and shortly thereafter closed its development division, putting an end to plans for a follow-up Lord of the Rings game. Even worse, it was revealed months later that Daedalic had not even written the apology letter, which, by the way, misspelled the name of the game. Members of the development team revealed to Game 2 that the publisher behind the title, Nacon, used ChatGPT to generate the apology without consulting the devs at all. In so many ways, The Lord of the Rings Gollum is a frustrating mess from start to finish, and its Metacritic scores of 38 on PC, 34 on PS5, and 43 Series X are almost generous.
So you wanna be a criminal, do ya? Game on!
For every live service game that manages to dazzle players with fun mechanics and to an ever-expanding world of content, there's another that seemingly uses the idea of live service to release a game that's unpolished to the point of feeling incomplete. Crime boss Rockay City falls into the latter category. The game boasts a cast of celebrated Hollywood actors, but that's its only claim to fame. Crime Boss is an FPS roguelike in which players take on the role of Travis Baker, an up-and-comer in the crime-ridden streets of Rockay City. Players can recruit a team of gun-toting NPCs to help them conquer the city, or team up with their friends online in a multiplayer mode that explores the urban legends of the city's criminal underworld. Regardless of the mode, the missions in Crime Boss are so straightforward and fast-paced that they never feel satisfying. A typical run can easily be finished in just a few minutes. Then it's back to menus, team management, and finding another turf to attack. Unfortunately, these levels aren't exactly short but sweet. The gameplay in Crime Boss is riddled with bugs, most of which are basically game-breaking. Players can get trapped inside walls. Enemies can fail to fully spawn, littering the battlefield with invisible NPCs that make actually finishing the mission borderline impossible. As a live service game, there's a chance Crime Boss cleans up the bugs, but it will still be left with mindless missions, an incomprehensible story, and a disappointing lack of customization. Crime Boss Rockay City received a criminally mediocre Metacritic score of 52.
That's it. We end this.
Yeah.
Charge!
Originally released in 2013 for the PS3, The Last of Us was and remains a masterpiece. Thanks to its excellent combat, engrossing world design, and unparalleled storytelling, The Last of Us quickly became known as one of the best video games of all time. When Naughty Dog announced that a remaster of the game was coming to PC, fans were ecstatic, but that enthusiasm quickly soured once they got their hands on the port.
So is that everything you hoped for?
On launch, the game spent hours building shaders. A week and 2 patches later, that wait time had barely been cut in half. The game pushed CPUs to their absolute limit, and regardless of the hardware players had to run it, freezes, hilariously weird bugs, and even crashes were a frequent occurrence. Players reported input lag from their controllers that was either difficult or impossible to work around. Days after launch, Naughty Dog released a statement on Twitter saying, "We know some of you have not experienced the Naughty Dog quality you expected. The studio promised to continue working to fix the game, and in the first month after its release, multiple updates attempted to address all the problems. Considering Naughty Dog's reputation, the port's release was particularly jarring. Then again, the fact that footage for the port's announcement trailer was captured on PS5 should have been a red flag for everyone." While The Last of Us Part 1 was a great addition to the PS5's library, its PC Metacritic score leaves a lot to be desired at a measly 57. The idea of leading a team of customized orcs in a bloody match of football that mostly throws out all the rules sounds great. The Blood Bowl franchise, based on the niche tabletop game of the same name, is fantasy football set in the Warhammer universe. The very premise of the game appeals to a narrow selection of gamers, but fans truly love the concept. They don't, however, truly love Blood Bowl 3 itself. One player took to Reddit to express their disappointment, writing, quote, "Blood Bowl 3 has broken me. One of the biggest problems of the game is that it's riddled with bugs and prone to crashing. Luckily, since it's ostensibly a live service game, there's a good chance that those issues will be resolved in the future. The bigger problem with Blood Bowl 3 is that it's filled with so many microtransactions that players might need a small business loan just to get into the game. One major appeal of the game is the ability to customize your players, but getting a full team tricked out in the way you want them can cost around $50, with additional special items available for even more money. That's a lot to ask just to gain access to the full experience of a game that already costs $30 on its own. Sorry, tabletop fans. With Metacritic scores of 57 on PC, 59 on PS5, and 51 on Series X, this one isn't for you. Look out, Mario! Disney is trying to move in on your turf. Disney Speedstorm is a car racing game with all your favorite Disney characters and all of your least favorite monetization systems. Planned as a free-to-play title, Speedstorm takes the usual gacha systems inherent in those games and cranks them up to 11. There's a battle pass, of course, but there are also blue tokens, purple tokens, gold tokens, multiplayer tokens, chests of randomized cosmetics, racer shards for character upgrades, and more. It's a seriously heavy-handed approach to a system that gamers are already primed for developers to abandon.
Is everything clear?
No. But it sounds like a good deal.
Fine. Sign here.
With all the monetization out of the way, it's time to turn to the gameplay. Nothing breaks the mold here. Characters all have individual special moves to use during races, which adds some nice variety, but repetitive tracks hold back the pleasure of that invention. The cars themselves handle particularly well and can be fun to use, but considering all the baggage the game has, and the fact that currently only PS5 players can enjoy 4-person split screen, there are so many better options out there. Hopefully the full version of the game will feel more worth players' time. On Metacritic, Disney Speedstorm scored a dismal 69 and 75 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, respectively. Forspoken is another game with a ton of potential that it just didn't quite live up to. On a positive note, the game blends magic and parkour into a traversal system that feels great to play and remains visually engaging throughout the entire game. Beyond that, the game is a collection of good ideas that all needed a bit more time to develop. Initially, the game's combat feels varied and exciting. Players have access to a wide range of magical abilities that, when combined with their traversal mechanics, make controlling a large crowd of enemies fun. Over time, though, the lack of any real challenge transforms the combat into a blurry of button mashing that you can more or less perform on autopilot. While all of the magical effects are flashy enough, the visuals don't look as good as they should on a PS5. The biggest struggle in Forspoken is the narrative. Frey is an interesting enough main character, but she constantly undercuts the drama of her situation with a steady deluge of jokes that mostly fall flat.
Did I just do that?
Well, definitely with my assistance.
I did not just do that.
We did.
I just moved with my mind.
The magical world of Athea, much like the game's combat, is intriguing at first glance, but reveals itself to be almost paper-thin as the game progresses. Ultimately, the story is about as satisfying as a bag of potato chips, which is a big step down from the 4-course meal we've come to expect from Square Enix games. Forspoken earned a lukewarm Metacritic score of 63 on PC and 64 on PS5. What if Guitar Hero was also a fighting game? That's essentially the premise in God of Rock, in which players choose from a number of fighters and step onto the stage for a one-on-one rhythm battle. Hitting notes more accurately than your opponent dishes out damage, but also has the unfortunate side effect of spiraling some fights out into a never-ending war of attrition. Every once in a while you can throw out a super move using more traditional fighting game inputs, but good luck nailing one of those intricate attacks without losing track of the beat entirely. For all its promise, God of Rock feels like a rough draft. It's not just that the rhythm and fighting mechanics are sometimes at odds with each other, but also that neither side of the equation is particularly strong on its own. The game's UI can make tracking all the notes a struggle, and PC players might as well pass on the game entirely. A Shacknews reviewer noted, "The keyboard inputs, to put it bluntly, straight up don't work." The music in the game suffers too, as the lack of licensed songs prevent the game from feeling like a real rock and roll celebration. It will be great to see this idea explored more in the future, but for now, it's a definite disappointment with Metacritic scores of 63, 62, and 54 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, respectively. Arcane Studios is a renowned developer behind titles like Dishonored, Prey, and Deathloop. Anytime Arcane has something new to release, gamers everywhere get excited. Sadly, 2023 has not been Arcane's year. Redfall was meant to be the studio's next big hit. The game is set in a fictional Massachusetts island town and takes place shortly after a group of vampires moves in and makes the islands their new hunting ground. Players have 4 different characters with varying skill sets to choose from, and they can fight back against the vampires and their loyal cultists in single-player or co-op FPS action. That's a great premise for a game, but the execution leaves plenty to be desired. The first thing most players will notice in the game is its slew of performance issues. Textures can take upwards of 10 seconds to load in, and many of them are low resolution even when properly loaded. The game is also locked at 30 FPS on consoles, including the Xbox Series X. Players have complained about in-game assets being reused so frequently it utterly breaks immersion. On top of that, the enemy AI leaves a lot to be desired, leading to moments where simply standing on the other side of a car can prevent a vampire from being able to actually attack the player. Overall, Redfall just doesn't feel like the next-gen game it's supposed to be.
This is not the Redfall I remember.
This game puts the suck in bloodsuckers, earning Metacritic scores of 56 on PC and 59 on Xbox Series X.